All right, y'all, get ready for another edition of Newz and Trendz with your host, Dave and Lynn. Be inconspicuous, but my flow is ridiculous. Despite an accent. See, I'm from the
Welcome to Newz and Trendz with Dave and Len. I'm your host, one of your hosts anyway, David Coker. I'm of Dave Mark Inc. and proprietor, promoter, man about town, mayor of Wilmington. You can call me whatever you want, you know.
the mayor.
But you know, I got a lot of titles.
I see.
But I'm sitting here with my man, Mr. Leonard Young. Mr. Leonard, go ahead, introduce yourself.
This is Leonard Young, CEO of National Black Guy, DelawareBlack.com, Black media specialist, and I can finally claim my title, all around good guy.
There you go. There you go. Hey, what's going on, guy?
Man, you know, same old, you know, trying to stay COVID-free and debt-free around here, you know?
Yeah. It's the crazy world we're in right now. But they, you know, ironically, they're saying the numbers are going down, starting to go down a little bit now.
Okay, well, I hope when these numbers go down, these cryptocurrencies go back up because they have plummeted. Dave, when I say they have plummeted, they have plummeted.
No, I've been paying attention. Between that and the stock market, you see the stock market took a big hit too.
Oh no, I didn't see. You know, I told myself I'm not good. I'm gonna let my wife do her stock market thing. I'm going to do the cryptocurrencies. I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah, the stock market took a big hit, man. So yeah, so right now the whole world is crying right about now. Now, unless you went out there, unless you got lucky enough to go to a casino or made some money over the weekend betting, you know, that's the only way you're gonna get some money right now, you know.
Yeah, so, what you say, quick and easy.
There you go. That's the quick and easy way, you know. Do it, maybe do a scratch off or something like that. But we want to welcome everybody that's been listening. Matter of fact, we want to say thank you for everyone that's been listening so far. We really appreciate it. We've gotten a lot of good feedback, and we want to continue to get your feedback. So make sure you stay tuned to, you know, our future shows and everything, and always let us know what you're thinking by just putting it out there in our chat or our comment section, and you know, we will definitely hit you back with our comments in reference to whatever it is that you're putting out there to us. So we really appreciate everyone that's been listening so far. All right, so you ready to get to this, man?
Yo, Dave, let's get it started.
Let's get it started. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm going to bring up our first story today. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to all the stuff that's been going on with these PPP loans and a lot of fraudulent loans, and a lot of people in the entertainment business have been connected to it, not just entertainment, but also in the sports industry as well. So recently, in the last couple of days, there were a couple of people that got caught up in the in this whole thing in reference to these PPP loans, and they're saying that I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with the young lady? Her name is Ion. What was her name? Ion Overman or Ian Overman. You ever hear that name before?
Yeah, so I'm not, but you know, I saw in the story she was on Desperate Housewives and Madea Goes to Jail. So I probably recognize her if I saw her, but the name alone doesn't ring a bell.
And a couple of other movies and whatever. Nice looking woman, but she was one of the ones that got caught up. And then this guy by the name of, I want to make sure I get his name right, Carlos Stevens, who worked with Romeo and Master P. I mean, there's been some notable people that's gotten wrapped up in this thing, and you know, and some big money. Like one of the main guys from the group Pretty Ricky.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Up. He's getting 30 months in jail over this whole thing, man.
Well, I mean, he's probably. I mean, he's probably lucky with that number, because I would almost think it would be more, but. Because I think the article said he got over $2 million. Well, how much money did he get? $2 million?
Huh?
He got around $2 million.
Yeah, it was over $2 million, man, that he got. Wow. Yeah, I mean, and they just kept going back to the well, man. I mean, he got one for over 400,000, then he got another one for over 700,000. I mean, and these guys, they just kept going back to the well. Now, I understand that during that time, during COVID at its height, that there was a lot of people wasn't working. They wasn't being able to go out and make their money like they were used to, acting and all this, concerts and whatever. But so a lot of them were taking out these PPP loans and saying that, that they had set up these corporations, dummy corporations, as far as themselves, and saying that they had people working underneath them and had all these people working underneath them, which they didn't. And they were just pocketing this money and so forth. And now, of course, everything was cool, but now these companies are coming after their money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're, some of these loans, some of them were grants, but these loans here, they want their money.
PPP loans.
Yeah, they want their money. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say what I think is so funny about it, and I wonder how much it contributes. So, first of all, they were in Atlanta, which we probably consider, the Mecca of the South, the place where a lot of Black people like to stunt, clothes, jewelry, cars, houses.
Right.
I wonder, of these people, how many were flaunting their wealth on social media. And so there was another guy I saw, he was out of Miami. So when he got his PPP money, he bought a Lamborghini, he's flashing jewelry on social media. So, I'm curious how many of these people would have flown under the radar if they were, because, I probably think for every person they catch, there's probably like 5 people who, they're probably not going to catch. So yeah, I'm curious how people flaunting their wealth or their PPP loans have contributed to them getting, caught up.
Well, that's true. Well, you got to look at, these people that are celebrities, if they're used to making a certain amount of money in the year, throughout the year, excuse me, and they can't, and they're not out there making money or whatever the case may be, these loans, I'm pretty sure, probably just drop in the bucket,
right,
of what it is that they usually are used to having. Now, but if you're a person who goes out here like this guy got the $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Pretty Ricky hasn't been that relevant in a while now.
No,
you know what I mean?
Haven't.
They haven't. I mean, they're probably making their money going out on old school tours or whatever the case may be. So a $2 million loan, well, it was a combination of more than one loan, but to come up with $2 million, it's probably a nice little hit for him.
Definitely. And the other thing I was thinking too, if they're in debt, because like a lot of these people flashing money, that don't mean they got it. So I can see a lot of people doing these PPP loans really to cover debt. Yeah. But once you get the money, like Dave, so I don't know if you ever been in a situation where you owe people money, then you come into a little bit of money, you're like, okay, I'm gonna pay them back. But then once you get it, you're like, you know what? Let me go out to eat. Let me take a trip here. Let me do all this.
That's why people end up in small claims court most of the time, because they don't have people.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, because you have to make choices as far as what it is that you want to do with the money. Now, of course, you could, if you're a person, if you never had money, think about it. If you never had money, you came into money all of a sudden. You got a lot of decisions to make. You know what I mean?
You do.
You got a lot of decisions to make.
Do you do the right thing? You got wants and needs. Do the wrong thing?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you got the wants and the needs. And a lot of the time, the wants went out.
Yeah, they do. Or by the time you get to the needs, the money done ran out.
The money that ran out. I need to pay this. I need to pay that. Oh man. My wants took over. Because
exactly.
Look. You think about it. Who would love to go to? You're a young guy, whatever. You didn't heard the stories. You didn't looked on TV and saw, going to places like Miami and going down to Atlanta and just going into one of them places and just blowing some money. You know
Dave,
what I'm saying?
no, I'm sorry. One of what places?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Don't play dumb with me.
I mean, I'm just trying to clarify what places we're talking about. But proceed.
Magic City, one of those type of places or whatever.
Okay, one of those places. Okay.
My partner over here trying to be coy, y'all. But anyway, but but if you're a young man and you say, you didn't heard all this stuff and whatever, and you say, oh man, I want to go to Miami Beach or I want to go down to Atlanta and just take a wad of money and just blow it.
Yeah.
What would stop you from doing that if you had it?
No, you're right. And looking at the article, so it says the one guy, and I guess this is maybe the guy from Pretty Ricky. He said he claimed that his loans would be used for 2 companies he had, but he admitted that he used it to fund a lavish lifestyle. I wonder if the IRS or the PPP people would look more favorable on people. So okay, there's a difference for someone to get their money and they waste it on lavish lifestyle. They front end, they doing the stuff for social media. I wonder if there'd be a difference if somebody got the PPP money, used it to start a business and kind of fund a business that didn't exist prior to them applying for the PPP loan.
Well, if you think about it, when they set those loans up, they were supposed to be for people. For people who have businesses,
right,
to be able to pay their
employees,
right? And so forth. Or if you had a business that you might have been the main proprietor or the sole employee, to be able to pay your expenses to be able to keep your business going, know. But these people who were getting these loans, because from what I understood from some of the other stuff I've seen with some of the athletes or whatever, they didn't, basically all they had to do was sign their name, and they gave them the money because of who they were, because of their potential to be able to pay it back.
Or plus for a lot of those individuals, they are their business. So and I mean, I'm sure that the athlete, like their name is their brand and their brand is their business.
Yeah, you look at a guy like LeBron James. He's a walking billboard. He's a walking
sponsor. Yeah, all that endorsement.
All of that is a guy like him. You figure Michael Jordan was in his prime playing basketball right now. That would be another person. Somebody like him, or some of these other celebrities that have gotten caught up. But it's just interesting that you're finding all of this coming out now, and they said there's a lot more to come, because
I'm sure
these are the small potatoes, but there's some big potatoes they're going after as well. So so you're probably going to see some lot bigger names coming up, because as this thing's been going, they've been going from the athletes, now they're going to the entertainers, and there's going to be some other names that are going to come out of this thing. So
I'm sure. Well, Dave, let me ask you a question. I just want to recap something you said earlier. So you said the guy got 30 months in jail, right?
Yeah.
Pretty Ricky. What amount of money, if you did not have to pay it back via PPP loan, would you go to jail for 30 months?
For 30 months. Well, wait, hold on. Are we talking about white collar? Are we talking about federal jail, or are we talking about hardcore jail? We talking about state penitentiary or something like that? I can do it. Look, I can get you. Give me 30, 40 million. I can do federal. I can do federal.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, for because hopefully I'll get good time. Time off for good behavior and all that.
Good behavior,
stuff.
All that.
Yeah. Because most of these people that go to these federal prisons, how often do you hear about them doing the whole time?
Sometimes we hear about people with way worse physically violent crime doing less, not less time, but half of their time.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Yeah, so no, I look, as long as that money's sitting there waiting for me. Look, you talking about indecent proposal? Yeah, okay, all right. So, but I guess we just got to keep an eye on the story and see what happens, man. But I'm sure we'll be talking about this stuff again. I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, I'm sure about that. No doubt.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving. You know, one of the things about doing a show like this, y'all, is that we get a chance to look at a lot of different stories, and we come across some things that it makes you, like Arsenio Hall said back in the day, makes you go,
Makes you go,
yeah. So I came across a story. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention or heard about it, but our Senate Minority Leader, Mr. Mitch McConnell, fooled around and put his foot in his mouth by talking about voters and talking about how African American voters, felt, he was saying that, African American voters basically were voting like they were Americans, if you know what I'm saying. So basically saying that our voting ballots shouldn't count because we're African American. And we were out there voting as though we were regular Americans. Now, I don't care what you do to try to clean this up. And he's been trying to clean it up, of course.
Yeah, I know
everybody took it out of context. Did you see this when this happened?
So I saw on social media. So specifically what he said is African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely see that separation there. Like,
what are we? Are we not American? Or
no, no, you were born here, but you're not American. You're African American, according to Mitch McConnell.
I don't look like an American. I don't look like a.
You're too dark. You're too dark.
Yeah, too dark. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
all right,
there you go.
Yeah, that's what it is. Now this guy's been our Senate Minority Leader for a long time. Okay, so for him to even say that, now of course he's done a lot of backtracking on it, and he said, well, you guys are taking this wrong and you're trying to make it into something that is not. How can you make something like this into something that it's not? You said it.
Right.
There's no way to separate African Americans and Americans. What is he talking about?
Right.
Yes, we're voting at a higher percentage now. Okay. And of course that's happened mainly because ever since the Obama run for presidency, of course the African American voting has gone up. Okay. So yes, there are more of us voting. I'll give you that. There are definitely more of us voting. But does that mean that we're not Americans because we're voting, or we're being excluded as being part of America because we're Black, or in this case, African American?
Yeah, I definitely get it.
Realize that Black people and African Americans are the same. Maybe he doesn't know.
So, one thing, so when I heard it, one of the first things that kind of came to my mind, and I think this is across the board, a lot of people of non-color don't know how to refer to minorities. So we talk about all these places that need cultural sensitivity training and all this stuff. I think this should apply to the people in the Senate too, because, a lot of stuff they say, and I mean, to be honest, someone probably just don't care. I personally don't think he meant any ill will by this statement. And when I heard it, I didn't get upset, but I think it just goes to, when non-Black people talk about Black people, they just don't know what to say. I feel like they're always putting their foot in their mouth, not necessarily on purpose, but, I definitely think some training, some cultural training, some sensitivity training, all these things we talk about that people should have in the workforce, they need to have here. So like when I look at the statement, I understand what he said. And like, if I could add one word into it, And would probably be, so instead of him just saying African American voters are voting in just as high percentage as Americans. In fact, I'm not going to take the time now to add the word in, but he probably could have added one word that would have made it right.
Or subtracted one word.
Huh?
Or
Oh, yeah.
subtract.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, because basically, yeah, everybody gets what he probably was trying to say.
Yeah, just how it came off.
The fact that, if he had just said that African American voters are voting at a higher percentage now than ever, he could have left it just okay. All right. But right now, with everything as sensitive as he is a Republican. Of course, we know all the craziness what's going on with the Republicans because they have been basically the identifiable race. I mean, I said race. I know they got me on that tangent right now. The identifiable problem when it comes to racism right now because of a lot of the members in the Republican Party. Did I say that right? That sound good to you?
Yep. Check mark.
Okay. Check mark. Okay. Because of what's going on with a lot of the members within that party, it didn't sound good coming out of his mouth because we know he's Republican. But then I also will give him a pass because for one thing, somebody his age, okay, they say a lot. If you ever pay attention, a lot of people that are over 60, 65 years old,
and Republican,
white people, they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to talk about black people.
Because that's exactly what I was saying before.
It's scary. They don't know how to talk because if they come from a different day and time where, when they were growing up, it was okay to say other things about us,
Right.
Now that we have evolved and have come up and especially a lot of us have woken up, you can't say those things to us anymore. So you had to be careful about how you speak to us, how you talk about us, and how you are using your words in reference to describing us. So, it's just like everything right now. We talked about this before in our cancel. We're in a cancel society right now. You can get canceled real quick these days, just saying one thing wrong. Steve Harvey said something recently. Steve Harvey said, I want to do stand-up again, but I would not do stand-up until after I retire from all of this other stuff that I'm doing right now.
Right.
And did you hear him when he said this?
Yeah, because right now everybody's just so, and I mean, Black people, Asian people, Hispanic, like everybody's so sensitive, and the stuff that I get, the stuff we said years ago. Looking at the article, and one thing I always think is funny, and I'll just call this. So we heard the one sportscaster talk about white tears. I'll call this white guilt. In the article it says, Mitch McConnell said, but I have African American speechwriters, schedulers, office managers. It's like trying to justify, what they did have. But, to another point, I do agree. So, as I said, I have some property in Alabama. And when we go down there, some of the stuff they say is just, for them, that's culture. And I don't necessarily take offense to it, even though I understand it can be different. But when I hear people say blacks, and I've never heard Negro or the other N word, but the stuff they say, I know personally, I kid you not, in the same sentence, they'll say, yeah, those blacks down the street, blah blah blah, and they'll end it with, okay, honey. Okay, I kid you not, in the same sentence, and I'm thrown off because it's like needing cultural sensitivity mixed with some Southern hospitality in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be it's interesting. I mean, this guy, he has all this power as far as the house and everything is concerned, and so we just have to pay attention to how much of a fallout this is going to be, or is it going to be one of those situations where we know they always come out right?
Right.
All right. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I'm going to keep it moving. You're listening to Newz and Trendz with Dave and Len. Make sure you are, if you have any thoughts on anything that we say, make sure you put it out there in our comment section so we can definitely give you our feedback on everything. But thank you for listening, for those that are listening at this moment. The next story I wanted to get into, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I just thought it was something that was poignant and something that we needed to pay attention to, because once again, the University of Michigan, and the University of Michigan is a big school, and it's one of the top schools in the country, once again has another doctor that has been accused of sexual misconduct and and sexual abuse, this time with a bunch of football players, over 1,000 football players over the years. And there's one particular guy, ex-football player, his name is John Vaughn. I actually saw a piece on Real Sports, I think it was, that I was watching with Brian Gumbel and them on HBO about this story. And it's really interesting because, like I said, over 1,000 football players have said that this guy is sexually abusing. Now, this is the same school that the gymnast doctor, Larry Nassar, was, practicing at and was the trainer at. And of course, he was molesting all these young girls over at, with the gymnastic team,
Yep. In fact, Dave, real quick, I did just look it up because I was looking for the other information. Larry Nassar, Michigan State. This guy, University of Michigan. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're right. It is Michigan State. So yeah, that's right. He was at Michigan State. That's so my fault on that.
Yeah.
But
so something about the Michigan school, the Michigan trainers,
and two of the bigger schools in Michigan. That's what's so crazy about it, So, but this young man, this John Vaughn, these lawsuits, man. Did you see how much the lawsuit was for?
No,
they were
I didn't.
awarded like a $460 million. Was it 460 million?
Oh, I see here 490 million.
90 million. Okay, that they were awarded for over 1,000 players, right? That had played there. This one particular guy, Mr. Vaughn, said that he can remember about 50 times that this guy did something that was, considered sexual to him while he was training him, and he gave him 50 rectal exams.
All right, Dave. Okay, let me stop this right here. If well, no, okay. So for anyone listening today, we have a top ranked college football player as one of our co-hosts, Dave Coker. But okay, so Dave, you played college football, and I'm not going to go into the rectal exams, but okay, as a college football player, how do you even see him not not knowing or allowing? And I mean, we're not condoning any type of abuse or anything like that. Sure.
Let me stop you. You were a swimmer.
Okay.
Right. When you were swimming, okay, and this goes for anybody in high school, whenever you start doing sports, okay, if you hurt yourself or if you sprain something or whatever the case may be, you go to see the doctor, trainer, whatever, and whatever they do, whatever they tell you to do, you do. Right?
Okay. So swimming is a little bit different because swimming just wasn't prone to injuries going to see a trainer. And of course, we went to a HBCU, so we didn't have a trainer for the swim team. So, but I mean, I am, and I understand where you're going with that, but I can see going to the trainer and certain things, but I would just think as a let's say an 18-year-old to let's say 22-year-old male, that you would be able to recognize when something kind of wasn't
You
right.
know, there are certain injuries that have to do, like when I taught for a long time in the medical field, and there's been lawsuits that have come up about people who who hurt like their spine or had a concussion or something, hit their head or whatever, and a rectal exam was done, believe it or not. And, so the people, file lawsuits like, why are they giving me a rectal exam when nothing was going on down there? Well, there is a connection to some of that doing rectal exams can help to determine the degree of what's going on with the spine or even with some head injuries. So I can see him having that issue but then keep in mind, this was back during a time, he was a black football player. He's at a big white school. The doctor, you're there, the trainer's telling you, this is what we're going to do. We got to check you this way. We got to check you that way. A lot of times they're not going to say anything. And keep in mind, it wasn't just him. I can understand if it was one guy. This guy got away with this many times. Okay. And, it's just weird because, with certain sports and these doctors, whatever, Tommy was making on Steve Harvey, nephew Tommy was making fun. He was doing one of his pranks, and he did this thing where he was talking about. He was at a barbershop, and the guy, he called the guy the barber because he said he gave him a nice haircut, but he said he kept turning the chair with his private part. Yeah, when
Yeah,
you be in a barbershop, the guys would use their hip
right.
or whatever to turn the chair. And he said he kept brushing his arm with his private part. That was funny, but it made you think, because in this type of situation, what if that guy was definitely doing it on purpose to
Right.
brush his private part up against you? And he's done it a number of times. And then you say to yourself, wait, hold on. I just he was doing that on purpose. And that is a form of sexual abuse if that guy's doing it on purpose, right? So a lot of this stuff, when you look at the story and whatever, when they reported it on TV, and I was thinking the same thing that you were just saying. I was thinking the same thing about, well, this guy's a football player. All he had to do is turn around, smack that guy. And this guy's a big dude too. He ain't no
Yeah,
little guy.
I'm sure.
And I was like, well, he should be able to know or be able to question. But then when you're a young kid, you want to play football. Look at what happened up there in Penn State.
Yeah, I agree. Like kind of like as I was reading the article while you were talking, it says the guy Vaughn, as you referenced him, one of the things he said is that he wanted to play football so bad, and the trainer was almost like that gatekeeper where the trainer had to approve. The trainer / doctors had to approve him to play. So, and I mean, not to say he subjected himself to stuff, but he knew whatever it took for him to get on that field, he would go ahead and do, and probably not ask many questions about.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because a lot of players and a lot of these young kids, you playing at a major school, you want to be out there on the field, so you're not going to say anything. But this guy, of course, now I'm thinking back, he said, hey, look, when he started talking to other guys and they started saying, hey, that happened to me too, then we got a Me Too movement going on right now with the women. This is all how all this stuff comes about. So, but anyway, everyone, just pay attention to the story, because the story's not going away. If you have kids that are playing sports right now, whatever the case may be, talk to your kids. Find out if there's been any strange things going on. Whatever, tell them to stay aware of what's going on when it comes to these type of situations where they have to see a doctor or a trainer. And if they feel that, they have any questions about anything, definitely they need to talk to you. I mean, we'll leave it at that, So, but anyway, I just wanted to bring that story up just to, bring people, awareness to these type of situations, especially if you have kids that are playing ball or something like that now. So this is moving real quick. You know, they said Leonard. Here we go. This
Hold
is
on,
my
don't
football.
hold on, don't end on that story and bring my name into it.
No, here we go. Here we go. Leonard, did you watch any football this weekend?
I couldn't. I was traveling, but yes, I did.
You did look at some?
Yeah, I did. I think I saw the end of the Kansas City game.
Oh yeah, well that was the best game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's funny. I was walking down because I was coming back from Alabama, and everybody was standing in the middle. You know how they have the gates on the side. And, yeah, everybody was standing in the middle because the TVs were out towards like the ledge. So.
And everybody was going crazy, right? About what was going on.
They were.
That game especially was the best game of the weekend. And it definitely came down to whoever was going to have that ball last was going to win that game. And Kansas City ended up having the ball last. That was one of the best football games I think I've ever seen, especially down the stretch. It was out of this world. But this weekend, period, Saturday and Sunday, they're saying right now, and the numbers, you know, the TV numbers and everything are going crazy or whatever. They said that was probably the biggest weekend for playoff football ever, because every game came down to a field goal.
Yep.
Every game came down to a field goal that actually saved the day for the teams that won. And 3 out of the 4 teams that were the home favorites lost. So Tom Brady and them lost. You know, Aaron Rodgers and them lost. They were the favorites at home. The Titans, Tennessee Titans lost, and they were the favorites at home. The only team that won, that was the favorite to win, was Kansas City, and they barely won that game. You know,
and I heard about your boy Antonio Brown trolling the Bucks too.
Yeah. Of course, you know, I saw something that he wrote. He said, if I was there, that wouldn't have happened. You know, that type of thing. Well, why weren't you there?
Right.
You know,
I was just gonna say, but you weren't there, so we shall never know.
Right. Yeah. So just wanted to say, you know, these playoffs, it's going to be an interesting week because you got a lot of new blood in the playoffs. You know, you got San Francisco, you got the Rams, you got Cincinnati. Cincinnati's quarterback has only been in the league 2 years now. He's in the semifinals, and then you got, of course, Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. So, Mr. State Farm. so right. You know, so it's going to be interesting. So hopefully, when next weekend should be really a great weekend in football, and of course, you know, the Super Bowl. We got the halftime show, and the halftime show, you know, it's going. You don't tell me you don't know who's the halftime show, right? Do you know? Man, you're killing me, man. Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige.
Right now, I got so much information and knowledge inside my head for Black History Month preparing that, you know, I was just trying to stay black and die.
You try to jump the gun on the Black History Month already?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You know,
but that's part of
this is our month.
You know, yeah, well, you know, they're gonna start it off with, that's gonna be Black History, because the Super Bowl, of course, is in February. That's gonna be Black History when that time show happens that Jay-Z is pulling off. So it's gonna be interesting. But anyway, that's my sports moment. What you got for us?
Yeah, so Dave, this was a story that it's so funny because it kind of had two different sides to it. So for anyone who's familiar, there was a clip going around social media in Connecticut. There was a guy at a Robeck store, which we don't have in this area, so I may not be pronouncing it right. But basically what happened was the video shows a guy, definitely an upset customer, on a tirade, definitely. So he is in this, it's almost like a smoothie store. He's in the store. The workers there are teenagers. It looks like maybe 3 teenage girls, 1 teenage boy. And he's yelling, he's cursing, he's saying that he's going to kill somebody. He threatened to kill them multiple times. And it just shows him going berserk. He actually, it looks like he grabs the smoothie off of the counter and throws it at one of the employees, behind. So of course that video was going around, everybody was up in arms. this morning I was listening to the radio, and they kind of gave the other side of the story, which I had not heard. So, of course, we saw the video where he went crazy, but what they were saying was the guy who was a Merrill Lynch financial advisor had come into the store the day prior, and his son has a peanut allergy. So I guess with whatever smoothie or drink he got, he requested that they not put any peanuts or peanut butter in the smoothie. One of the workers probably forgot. They put peanut butter or peanut in the smoothie, and his son had a breakout, lips swole up, throat swole up. They had to rush him to the hospital. The son turned out to be all right. So fast forward, the video of what we see is a guy coming in the next day, irate, definitely giving the teens the business. So, now it's kind of two-sided. So, and I'll say my son does not have a peanut allergy, but he does have a tree nut allergy. And when he was young, there was a situation where it wasn't super serious, but his throat did swell up. His face started swelling up. So I definitely understand the concern as a parent, even though a lot of people are saying that he just took it a little too far with the "I'm going to kill you." Some of the racist slurs he he was saying as well. So Dave, I'm not sure if you got a chance to see the story, see what your thoughts are. I'm sure you can probably understand both ways, even though, of course, the one way looks like, I think anytime you threaten to kill somebody, and anytime you, call people out of their ethnic heritage, that kind of takes it a little too far.
Well, there's two things here that you got to look at. First of all, nobody messes with our kids.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you're a good parent and you care about your children, I don't care what color you are, you don't mess with the kids. Okay. So, of course, quite naturally, that's when something like this happens, that's going to send you into a rage anyway, because this is your kid. And, and especially if you already said to them, hey, look, does this, have peanut in it, or I can't have you put any peanuts in it, anything that has peanut in it, you can't put it in the smoothie. The second thing is, there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, and of course, that's what social media, the social media was created by controversy, causing controversy. Okay. So we had to have the controversial part first. And as you see, especially when it comes to a lot of celebrities and whatever, Tiffany Haddish made funny last night. You heard about her DUI.
Yeah.
And they were
right.
talking about how drunk she was and that she was passed out or whatever. So
Yeah.
Tiffany Haddish on Jimmy Fallon last night, she said she had prayed to God for one good man, and God sent four.
Right.
About the cops.
Right. 4 in uniform.
In uniform. So, so like I said, there's always another side to the story. But when you start getting into, you can, of course, we get mad. We've seen it before. People hit somebody in a car, might be a white person, a black person, and they get out and they start going at each other, whatever the case may be. And in the heat of the moment, of course, there's going to be some things to come out. And now, of course, quite naturally, if you're a racist,
yep, it's going to come out.
Definitely come out, But, you got to give the guy a little bit of a pass because he was concerned about his son and he tried to be proactive with the whole situation, apparently, right? So, but you can't call people names. You can't make them feel lesser than. Yeah, somebody messed up. Yes, somebody did. He should have talked to the manager, pulled that manager aside, and just had a conversation with that person, and so forth and so forth, and let them be able to try to rectify the situation, whatever, maybe pay the doctor bill, whatever the case may have been, but to just go off on a tangent like that, yeah, no, that's not right. You can't condone that.
Right. So, and the other thing I was thinking too is, so one, these were mostly teenage girls. Of course, the story doesn't tell us the person who made the smoothie, they might not even be working that day. Like you know how those shift workers are. So it's kind of like, okay, you're coming in, you're upset. And one thing I think, because I watch the ID channel a lot, First 48, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
they talk about premeditated, where it's like, okay, if this guy had a whole night to kind of think about it, calm down, come in the next day, kind of like you said, speak to a manager, maybe have rationale. But of course, he came in, and I think anytime you talk about killing people in today's day and time, you have to take all those threats serious. So it was also saying that
Yeah.
his job released him, and after they released him, he did issue kind of like an apology video, which we see a lot. We see a lot now with a whole bunch of people in situations. But
Because he's got another job.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
what? Yeah, he got to get another job, and he's got to be able to save face, because what company's going to want to hire him unless it's one of those good old boy companies
Right.
that say, "And you did the right thing, come work for us," that type of thing. But other than that, yeah, who's going to really hire him? He's got to apologize. So that's,
yeah. Yep. So I just want to kind of speak a little bit about that, because I saw it, and I definitely thought one way, and I agree with what you said. There's two sides to every story, and on via social media, we don't always see the other side, and I definitely didn't see it. What you say?
No, they don't want us to see the other side. They want us to talk about all the craziness, So because that's what's on social.
Right. And real quick, and I know we didn't talk about it, but I'm going to spend less than 30 seconds. There was a situation, and my wife was telling me about, she stays up more on the gossip. There was a rapper, probably like a small time rapper. His girlfriend's son accused him of being a child molester. So the son accused him of like touching him inappropriately. The girlfriend blasted him all over social media, probably ruined his character, ruined his rep, ruined his image. Come to find out, the son lied. And, so that's one of the things that made me think, when he got blasted, that was all over social media. When he got redeemed, that doesn't always, that's not a hot subject. So that doesn't always make it around.
Nobody wants to read that.
Yeah. So that's why even with the two sides of every story, one side is going to get a lot more attention than the other side.
Right.
And you better hope you on the, the good receiving side rather than the defamation side. So
that's true. That's true. Because, all somebody has to do is go out there and say something like that, or say that that person's a cheater and they cheated on that person. And of course, that's the story everybody wants to hear.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that they're not. So,
right.
Whatever.
Right. So moving on, and I think I'm going to just brush over this, but there was a black hockey player named Jordan Subban, as my partner corrected me earlier. And so he is in the midst of getting into a fight with another player. As the ref is kind of holding him back and his back is a little bit turned, he states that the white hockey player does a almost like a monkey image, like a monkey posture to him. At that point, and it's funny because his statement exactly says that he was too coward to fight me face to face, so he made a monkey posture when my back was turned. So I hit him in the face and beat him till he turned into a turtle. And then he said, "There, Dave." And then he said, "There, fixed it." So after that, the white hockey player was let go from his team, and the guys did I'll say a white guilt video where he apologized. And so this is another thing where I say two sides to the story. Did you happen to listen to his apology? I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did the apology, but I knew about the story.
Okay. So when I was listening to his apology, what he was saying is that he was not making a monkey gesture. He was making like a tough guy bodybuilder. So if you can imagine kind of people holding their arms down and like kind of pumping up their chest. And when I heard that, I was like, you know what? I could kind of see somebody doing that because I've seen people do that, kind of try, pump out their chest and all that. I think my question would be, has he done it before? So if this is something he regularly does, that may be one side of the story. If it's not something he regularly does, then, of course it is what it is. But, even with that, I think with different cultures, you can't do the same thing for every culture. So if I pump up my chest like a tough guy and maybe it looks like a gorilla or ape, I may not be able to do that to Black people just because of, the reference that we kind of associate certain things like that to. So, it's so crazy because, I just felt like that was another side where, of course, he was trying to say he didn't. He was crying in his video. And, I think it's just one of those things where, you have to know your audience. You have to know who you're dealing with. And, and certain things that you may do for, to your white friends, you can't do to Black people. And, whether it was mistaken or not, Jordan Subban definitely put his hands on him.
Well, let me say this real quick in reference to the story. Jordan has a brother named PK, who's one of the top Black players in the league. Been for a long time. Very popular guy in the league because he is a very good hockey player. Hockey is not our sport. I mean, it's not our sport. And there's only a few of us in hockey right now. So because of that, we have to make sure that the ones that are in hockey, that that they are taken care of and not being treated. But there's a lot of racial slurs and everything that the Black players take in hockey. And there's a lot that go on behind the scenes, especially in those in the hockey towns in Canada, the places in Canada and places in the South. Yeah, there's a lot of brutal treatment that those players go through that are minority in hockey. That's why that's one of the sports we haven't taken over yet, if you follow me.
Yes, right. We coming.
Yeah, because this if you ever watch this PK Subban play, and Jordan is good too, but PK is really, really good. So, and they, a lot of the players hate him because he's so good. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
So, I'm just saying, we haven't taken it over yet, but we coming. So, but
yep.
That's all I got with that.
Yeah. So anyone listening, if you have any comments about that, if you get a chance to check out the video, especially the apology video, make sure you comment on our page. And then Dave, the last story, I'm just gonna roll through this real quick. Of course, Kevin Hart, Meek Mills, and Michael Rubin, the Sixers co-owner, recently made a $15 million donation to the city of Philadelphia schools, not the public schools, but to the private and parochial schools. So,
really
of course, what do you say?
People are really upset about that. You know that, right?
Yeah, well, and again, I was listening to the radio, and so a lot of people were calling into the radio saying, the city of Philadelphia schools really need the money. They don't have books, they don't have computers, the buildings are falling down. And before I give my take on it, I just want to hear your take.
Well, I guess the relationships always come into play when it comes to donations like this. And having the relationship, we don't know, maybe somebody's kids go to schools in some of these schools, if you know what I'm saying. And, or they are just trying to keep certain connections, if you know what I'm saying, high place connections with some of the people that may be in these schools. I really feel, yes, that with the public schools that they probably should also do some type of endowment or something for the public schools as well, because I mean, they definitely all got the money to be able to do that. So if you want to donate 15 million to the private schools and everything, why not donate 15 million to the public schools?
Right.
I mean, you know, unless they're worried that now it could be that maybe money was done earmarked for the public schools and maybe the money didn't get used the right way. You know, it could like I said, two sides to every story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Right. And you know, so what I was thinking about that, especially after hearing some of the radio comments, for two things. One is the city of Philadelphia schools are funded by taxpayers. So, you know, there should be allocated money for those schools, whether there are or not. Um, if I'm donating money to an organization and this organization is not effectively using their money to disperse it how it needs to be dispersed, would I even use my money to donate to that organization? So like that's one way I was thinking after the radio this morning. And then the second thing I was thinking is kind of twofold. So there's probably a lot of kids who would like to go to private and parochial schools, a lot of probably kids of color that probably don't have the money. So if this money was kind of giving scholarships or assistance to, you know, those kids, and you know, I'm definitely with it.
okay, yeah,
So
and actually, I can agree with everything you just said, and like I said before, you said that there's two sides to every story. So
yeah,
maybe there was
exactly.
money because I think I've heard that money's been given to the public schools over the last couple of years. Now, what happened to the money? Maybe it got misappropriated to um, things that shouldn't. You know, maybe they went to some of these PPP loans. You know,
Right.
you know. So we never know. But hopefully that we'll get an answer to that question in reference to, or maybe somebody else will step up and donate some money as well, or maybe they'll do it. Who knows?
Yeah. No
We'll
telling.
find out. Yeah. So
Yep. So that's everything I have for today. I want to thank everybody for listening. You're listening to Newz and Trendz with Dave and Lynn. Make sure you follow us on all podcast platforms, including Podbean, YouTube, Facebook,
on all
everywhere.
of them, we on all of them, y'all. Don't say you can't find us. We out there. We out there.
Yep.
So
So make sure you listen. Make sure you share. Make sure you tell a friend. If you have any comments, suggestions for topics, make sure you put it on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, our Podbean site. Other than that, Dave, you have any final words?
all I'm gonna say is, you know, like Leonard said, I just want to say thank you for listening, everyone. And you know, we are getting ready to go into Black History Month, so we're gonna try to keep everything focused on those things in the next month or so, talking about Black history. So just make sure you tune in and we go from there.
All right. So everybody, we can't wait to see you next time. Have a good week and make sure you tune into our Friday show.
Tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of Newz and Trendz with your hosts, Dave and Lynn.